Crowhill here. Today we review a porter and discuss 5 topics in about 5 minutes each. Hello and welcome to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Good evening, Pigweed.
Good evening, Crowhill.
So what's on your mind today?
Sounds like you think I have a single thing on my mind.
Well, you're a single-minded man.
Not today.
Not today.
No, I have 5 things on my mind.
5 things. All
yes,
right.
the docket was getting backed up.
Yes.
We probably could do a full show on any one of these, but I keep saying I'm going to get to that, daggone it. Sometimes you just got to spit it out.
Yeah. Okay, but I don't want you to spit this out.
Don't spit this out.
Don't spit this out. This
Here
is
we are.
Non-alcoholic pastry porter from Surreal Brewing Company. And the question is, we've complained that a lot of these no-alcohol beers don't have much maltiness to it.
Yes, there seems to have a little bit more success with hoppy beers than with malty beers. And what do you
So I'm trying to say, look, this one, which has got malted barley, vanilla, lactose, cacao nibs.
Yeah.
I'm figuring if one of these is going to have some maltiness to it, this one's going to have some malt.
And some mouthfeel.
Some mouthfeel.
Yes, because you've got, I like the idea of the lactose.
Yeah.
Chocolate, vanilla.
Yeah. What do you think? It's not
can
really
do.
maltiness in the traditional beer sense, but
it doesn't say, but I guess it would be a non-alcoholic stout. A porter.
It's porter. It's a porter.
Okay. Looks like a porter.
Yeah.
Super dark.
Nice and dark. Yes.
Smells roasty.
Smells roasty, yes, which actually porters aren't supposed to have too much roastiness to them. But this one does have a bit of flavor to it. As I'm not getting a lot of maltiness, but there is a lot of those dark flavors.
Yeah. Some lingering dark chocolate.
Bit of roastiness, dark chocolate, maybe a touch of the cocoa flavor.
I think the lactose gives it a little bit more mouthfeel, not as much as a real beer, but it's as far as attempts at dark and malty beers, this goes right to the top of that category.
That category, right? Yeah. All right. Yeah. If you're interested in this is Surreal Brewing Company. So if you're interested in doing a non-alcoholic beer and you want something a little stiffer, a little darker, this is a decent one to try.
Okay, and that was number 12.
Number 12 in
the NA Beer Challenge.
Okay.
And I'm getting a little tired of it.
Yeah, I think 12 is enough.
I think 12 is enough.
That's a dozen. We can
so glad to hear that.
We can call it done. All right, so 5 topics.
All right, you got the timer ready?
Oh yeah, I do have the timer ready. Are you ready? Let's see.
I'm ready.
Stop that and let's go. What's number 1?
Oh, gender reveal, Dad.
Oh my. Yeah.
So it was a TikTok, not TikTok. It was a Twitter video.
Yeah.
And right, to do the gender reveal. So it's a large box, mom and dad on either side.
Right.
And then
it's
a family's right. So the parents are filming this.
Yeah. Why is it that every event in life we have to keep adding things to it? You know, like birthday. You don't just sing happy birthday and have cake. You got to have all these presents, and then it's not just birthday; it's your birthday week, it's your birthday month. You know, it's like everything gets bigger.
Grown-ups making a big deal about their
birthdays, and everything gets just bigger and bigger and bigger. And with childbirth, you've got all these additional parties. I'd never heard of a gender reveal, and all of a sudden now it's a big thing.
And then you take it one step further, because you're expecting somebody to show a picture of a sonogram.
Yes.
And instead there's a large box. And out of this large box bursts a teenager, a scrawny boy in a dress. And that's the big gender reveal. That I guess that they're going to send off to other people and get pats on the back of all sorts.
Except that the dad, it was very obvious. If you have any ability to read faces.
Somebody cropped it so you could see just his face as this is after this is going on, and it's that forced smile.
Yes.
It's the hostage video.
Yeah, he's blinking in Morse code.
Yes,
save me from this.
Please kill me.
Right. Yeah, that was atrocious.
It was, the poor guy. So initially I'm going, what kind of loser patsy are you to go along with this? Come on, man. Don't. Then I started thinking, and then I started imagining the rest of his life, what it could possibly be like.
Yes.
So let's just say he has other kids.
Okay.
Let's say that this is such a big deal for the wife that this breaks apart. He breaks up the whole family.
Yeah. Well,
right? You support me on this,
or
yeah.
'Cause there's a lot of that nowadays.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these ultimatums, and the law now supports that kind of thing. If you don't support me in saying that our boy's a girl, then you get kicked out and maybe go to jail.
Maybe go to jail, but certainly but you don't know. He's probably likely the principal breadwinner. He perhaps has other kids. You find a friendly judge to say that not only is he unfit because of his attitude about not affirming, he's a danger to the other kids. So in his mind, he's about to lose his house, lose more than half of his paycheck, and he's already lost his son.
And lose whatever little bit of his marriage still exists, right? Yeah.
And so he'd just rather lose his dignity and
go
smile, a fake smile along with this gender.
And what a fake smile it was, too.
So yes, I went from critical of him to just to say, that poor bastard. I mean,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you got to feel for him because you don't know what kind of a horrible situation. Speaking of reading faces, this is totally off subject.
Bring it.
Did you see the picture of Ilhan Omar watching Matt Gaetz when he was making his speech?
No.
Oh my gosh. You have to look it up. She's sitting, Matt Gaetz is making his speech saying that he doesn't trust McCarthy, and Ilhan Omar is sitting there looking at him, and she is like licking her lips and eyeing him up and down like he's a piece of candy or something.
No kidding.
It's very interesting. And then, on a dime, she gets this look of extreme disgust on her face. It's such a contrast
all in the same matter.
All in this matter of 10 seconds or something. It's very, very strange. Anyway, so when I was looking at that poor guy, that clip you sent me, and I'm looking at his face, I'm just thinking, gosh, you could do a study on emotions just looking at that face.
Yeah, he was doing. You can see this is a man in a bad situation doing his very best. I know that I'm supposed to look like I fully support this, and I'm doing my very best. But you're not selling it.
No, he was not selling it. But I feel sorry for him being in that situation. But oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So that's number one. Let's go to number two. Going to Finland.
Yes, we're going to Finland.
Are we going to see Ismo?
See what?
I think Ismo is from Finland, isn't he?
Who's Ismo?
He's a comedian.
Oh,
he's a really good comedian.
I want to see the Aurora Borealis.
Okay. Yeah.
We're going above the Arctic Circle.
Okay.
So the Grand Tour, I used to love. I love this show. It's no longer running. It's a British car show. That's 1/3 British humor, 1/3 gearhead, and 1/3 Travel Channel. So they happen to be in Finland for this section, and there's always some car challenge involved, and there tends to be a lot of car wrecking at some point in this challenge. This one was they're traversing a few hundred miles to get to an airport before their plane leaves in Russia.
Okay.
But it's starting in, I think, Sweden and through Finland.
Okay.
So they're like, but it's not very far, but the conditions are so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not
so
making
it's sort
a lot
of a combination of the Iditarod and and race across the country,
Yes, yes. But one of the guys points out, we don't generally worry about local traffic laws.
Sure.
But Finland has some of the strictest speeding laws in the world.
Okay.
He mentioned that they means test their tickets.
What does that mean? They means test tickets.
So, when I heard that, it brought me back to a show that we did.
Yeah.
We talked about finding the poor.
Okay.
And how it's such a burden on the poor to give a guy a $50 ticket for a taillight that's out.
Right.
Because that $50, and then he doesn't pay it, and now he's got a warrant, and then he gets arrested, then he loses his job.
He's got to miss a day of work, which he can't do, and everything.
And then he loses his job because of that, and the next thing you know, it's the fine to jail pipeline.
Yes.
And I'm going, well, what do you mean? If you're poor, you don't have to have a taillight? You know, so
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yes.
But the price of anything, the price of a loaf of bread, disproportionately affects the poor.
Yes.
So what are you going to means test every purchase?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're rich, you can afford $9 for a loaf of bread, or right. So it's also unworkable. And the biggest problem seems to me, the people that you have to give access to your
So
finances.
when you told me about this topic, three things popped into my mind. One was the Harrison Bergeron story we read before, where you're trying to take everybody and make them equal, trying to make everybody equal,
Yes.
where if one person is naturally athletic, then you're going to hang weights on them or do various things so that they're not as athletic.
Ugly people, handsome people had to wear a clown nose.
Yeah, and somebody who's really smart, you stick something in his ears to
does-
make a noise.
does sound like a little
so,
bit.
so there's a little bit of that. The other thing is, as you mentioned, in order to make this happen, there has to be government data influencing absolutely every transaction. So everything, like from the speeding ticket to buying a loaf of bread to anything that you do, there has to be this huge database where somebody's making all these calculations.
Well, and that way too many people have access to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's bad. And then the third thing is, we have this quaint notion that the punishment should fit the crime.
Right.
So why would...
And that everyone would be treated equal.
Yes, but this is the opposite of that.
Can I give you these extreme example?
Okay.
The Finnish businessman Raima Kuisla
Uh-huh.
was fined €54,000, which is $62,000, for driving 22 kilometers over the speed limit.
Wow.
Which is what, 10 miles? It's exactly 10 miles an hour.
Yes, 10 miles.
No.
10 miles per hour over the speed limit, and he got a...
Because he was a wealthy sausage baron in...
And he could afford it.
Oh, well, I don't care who you are.
Yeah, well, that's a little ridiculous. Now, of course, it would also be ridiculous for a wealthy sausage baron to go around breaking the law all the time because he doesn't care about the trivial fine. But the way they deal with that...
Right, he'll just double park in the middle of the street anywhere he wants to go. I'll just pay the fine when I go.
Right, but there's another way to deal with that. Like in the United States, we have this situation where there's a fine, but there's also points. And once you accumulate a certain number of points, okay, it doesn't matter what the fine was. You've got 10 points, you lose your license. Yes.
Yeah.
So there's other ways to deal with this than just create... They're just trying to get some money out.
And it made me think of the stupid no bail craze that we have on. And
right.
Because I am sympathetic to the initial idea, just like the fining thing I was talking about a minute ago.
Right.
That why is it that a man who's not been convicted of a crime, if he's poor, has to spend 30 days in jail waiting for trial, and if he's rich, he doesn't have to spend 30 days in jail.
Right.
So, I'm a little bit... But the answer is not just taking dangerous people and sticking them back on the street over and over and over again because, you think bail is mean.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, there are inequities in a lot of things that happen in life, but a lot of times the solutions are worse than the problem.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let me get that one clear. I got to have a little musical intro here.
All right.
Wish politicians look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street.
So what is he talking about? Minors on an island somewhere.
I don't know, but my very first thought was, where are these politicians worried about minors on an island? So I immediately went to Epstein's sex island and underaged girls having sex with old politicians or something like that. I said, and then I thought about it. I'm like, actually, they're not at all worried about that.
No.
They absolutely do not want to talk about anything that went on.
Nobody has done a thing about that. It's astonishing.
It is. I mean, the silence is amazing.
It is amazing.
So does a private island by some billionaire that nobody knows where he got his money, entertains the richest, most powerful people on the planet, royalty and otherwise. He's found out whatever goes on there. You're not quite sure what has attracted all of these people. Then he gets arrested and mysteriously kills himself with 24-hour guards. And there's apparently a client list
Yes, which we haven't seen.
And nobody is curious.
No one is curious.
So I understand the politicians and anybody who's ever been on the island doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But you're telling me there's not an editor at Rolling Stone or Atlantic Magazine or New York Times?
And where are all the feminists? Okay, so you have these. The story goes, and whether this is true or not, I don't know. But the story,
I don't know because nobody
will investigate it. Yeah, but the story goes that his girlfriend with that weird name, Ghislaine, that she was going out getting 13, 14-year-old girls and tricking them into coming out to the island and then like grooming them to be
for just massage, nothing sexual.
Right, yeah. Grooming them to be whatever they were going to be.
Yeah.
And that was what was going on this island. Now, where are the women's rights people out wanting answers to this?
Yeah, right. Not only whether they're underage or not, but what about the patriarchy?
Yeah.
And rich and powerful men using their wealth and power to coerce young women into sex. Even they're not curious?
I know. Right. The Washington Post isn't curious. The New York Times isn't curious. It's mystifying. Unless
I mean, this is
they know that a lot of the people on that list are people that they like, and they don't want to get them in trouble.
You see, this is how conspiracies are born.
Yes.
Maybe there's a perfectly legitimate explanation for all this, but the silence is what drives the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
This conspiracy thinking.
Because it's so easy to say they're not investigating it because it's going to implicate people that they don't want implicated.
Exactly right. You just follow. You follow the who would this investigation hurt?
Yes.
Well, everybody. A lot of people who apparently have. I understand. They can't have power over every journalistic outlet that has the resources to do this level of investigation, because it's not. I realize that maybe the Des Moines Register couldn't do it, but there are plenty of magazines that could, and nobody really cares.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And
what happened to the guards that were supposed to be watching? They've been somehow they are fired and living in McMansions somewhere. Like, oh, isn't that interesting?
And nobody, and we're criticizing the Washington Post, New York Times. Daily Wire hasn't gone in and talked to them either. I just absolutely don't get it. The only explanation that makes any sense is when somebody tries to investigate it, the FBI or some rich person comes along and says, "You're not going to do that."
Even great. It goes even higher up than that.
Right. Yeah. It's this is where you get crazy conspiracy theories about cults of sex abusers running the government and everything else.
Pizzagate.
All that crazy stuff, which I don't want to have anything to do with any of that. But the reason those things catch on is precisely because of this kind of thing. Because we all know that there's this story about this island. We all know that there's a lot of smoke, but nobody's investigating.
And that there is. Am I making this up? There is a client list.
Yeah.
That nobody's interested in revealing.
Yeah. I don't get it.
No,
I don't get it. Okay, well, that's the end of that one. So, how about this?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that you invite me to a party at your house, and I come wearing a gorilla suit. All right?
Yeah, okay.
And you say, "Hey, Crowhill, gorilla suit is really not appropriate for this party." And I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you criticizing my gorilla suit? I mean, who do you think you are criticizing my gorilla suit? And I get all mad at you because I have intentionally not conformed with the standard in order to cause a reaction.
Yes. And
then I cause a reaction, and then I get mad at you for having that reaction.
Exactly. So you're provoking, you're deliberately provoking a reaction.
Yes.
And
of course I knew I would provoke a reaction by wearing the gorilla suit.
Yes.
Yes.
Which could also be wearing a bunch of face hardware and tattoos all over the place to be a waitress at a family restaurant, at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yes, or blue hair or anything else.
So when you did all of that and looked yourself in the mirror, you're trying to provoke and get a reaction. And then what happens when the are you free as a patron to go, I'm looking for a pleasant interaction and I find all of this kind of disgusting. Can I get another waitress?
Yeah. Now the person who's doing all this stuff will say, I'm not trying to provoke a reaction. I'm just trying to be myself.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a lie.
It's a lie, and it also doesn't matter because
Yes.
the world doesn't revolve around you.
Yes.
You have to. There are standards. There is some conformity in life.
Yes. If I say I just want to be myself by not bathing and going to work smelly, I'm sorry you can't do that. I am provoking a reaction. So
Right.
we're not islands. We live in society. We have to get along with one another. And when you don't conform to the standards, you are provoking a response.
Right. So when I see somebody that looks like this, as a cashier at PetSmart,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking one of three things. The person hiring is thinking, look, I'm just scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I just need somebody with
a pulse.
with experience who knows how to run a cash register.
Yeah.
She's worked in a pet store before, and she'll work these hours that I have lined out. So I'm just taking what I can get.
Yes.
There's one.
Which is you understand that if you are driving down a back road in the middle of nowhere and you have to stop at the little store on the corner at 2:30 in the morning, and you see the crazy person right behind the register, you think, okay, this is the only person they could get to run this, work these hours.
Right. And thankfully, they could find at least one person
Yes,
to do it,
yeah.
or I'd be shit out of luck.
That's right. Yes.
So there's that. There is, hey, this is what the cool kids are doing these days, and we want to come across as a cool store.
Yeah. Yes. There's that possibility. There's also the possibility that they're scared to death that if they don't hire this person, they're going to get some sort of a discrimination lawsuit slapped on them because you discriminated against this person because they have gauges and everything else.
But that's not protected.
No, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand. People think that discrimination is against the law. No, discrimination is not against the law.
No.
Only particular types of discrimination are against the law.
Right. I mean, if you discriminate, if Hooters discriminates against not hot chicks.
Yeah, because there are certain things that are in the law. You cannot discriminate based on race, sex, national origin. There's a list of things.
Disability.
Disability.
But even
right.
disability to a degree. I mean, you probably can't be an effective waitress
in a wheelchair. Right.
On crutches where you can't even use your hand. So even that with a certain accommodation.
Yes. But it is perfectly legit for an employer to discriminate for all kinds of reasons. But a lot of people are so afraid of just the word discrimination.
Exactly. Yes, they think the word discrimination by itself is a negative one. Don't you discriminate against dumb people in favor of smart people while you're hiring?
Yes, I would hope so. I would hope so. But it's annoying when somebody is intentionally provoking a reaction.
Yeah. And
then they get mad at you when you react.
What? This face tattoo? Why are you staring at my face tattoo? Well, you got a face tattoo. I don't know.
Exactly, because you look like a freak.
and you know it.
Yes.
And it's your intention.
And you did it for that reason. Yes. It is very annoying. All right, so there's 5 minutes. We got one more. We finally found a situation where Joe Biden wants to deport people.
Well, there's clearly not enough deportation going on. There's too much inflow and not enough outflow. So finally, they have started identifying people that deserve to be. I guess we're talking about MS-13 gang members.
No, unfortunately not.
Oh.
No. We're talking about a German refugee family who came to the United States because in Germany it's against the law to homeschool your kids.
That's terrifying.
And they thought that they were being discriminated against religiously because they wanted to train their kids with certain religious values. So they came to the United States. They went to Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And they've been living there peacefully for, 15 years or something like that. And
Big family, right? They have a bunch of kids.
Yeah, a lot of kids. And the Biden administration has decided we don't want people like that in this country.
No, we don't. Because can you imagine someone coming to the United States pursuing religious freedom?
What a crazy idea.
I mean, what? What?
I know.
No wonder they went straight to the top of the list.
Exactly. I mean, why would you have something like
Why
that?
would you get such an idea?
No,
This is disgusting. You're spending actual resources, people flooding in with criminal backgrounds, diseases, everything. Millions of reasons why people should be deported.
Yeah.
And this is
and we're going after these people.
Yes, white religious people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know a whole lot about them. I don't know, what kind of weird or different strange beliefs they have, but probably they're, a bunch of kids who are homeschooled who are doing way better than the kids in the public schools.
Oh, yeah.
Who are living decent lives, paying their taxes, being good neighbors. They're probably nothing objectionable from a civic perspective at all.
They're frighteningly religious and not sending their kids to be indoctrinated by the government.
Right. And because the schools are doing such a fantastic job. I mean, most of the schools aren't graduating kids who can even read. So
Yes. So there are lots of non-religious reasons to not send your kids to public schools. But these people came here because they're like, you can do this in the United States
for whatever reason
without being persecuted.
Yeah.
Then that's for us, and we'll do. Been here. What did you say? For 15 years.
And apparently
what are they doing to rise to the top of the list of deportation
And
efforts?
apparently they were told in the beginning of all this that they had permanent status and it was okay. They were going to be here. They sought asylum. They were granted asylum. But, indefinite deferred action status.
In 2014.
Yeah.
Well, what did they do to provoke?
I don't know. Somehow or other, I guess when the FBI was coming up with their
domestic terrorists.
Their list of domestic terrorists.
They go, okay.
Let's see. We got Catholics. We got them on the list.
Yes. Anybody that voted for Trump.
Yes.
Homeschoolers.
Yes.
Yeah. How about the other thing that they're taking some heat for, is trying to withhold government funding from any school that offers archery or marksmanship.
Wow.
You didn't see that one?
It's I've been so scared recently. I've been going down, when I was going through my neighborhood. There's all these people with bows and arrows by the side of the road. They've been scaring the crap out of me. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, we need to get rid of all these dangerous archers that are running around. It's like they're starting a new Robin Hood gang or something.
This is such classic elitist East Coast, West Coast thinking.
Yeah.
You know what? This is fundamental to lots of communities.
I know.
Is hunting and last thing is hunting and archery. Last thing you want is for them to be taught proper safety techniques.
Exactly. Heaven forbid that they should actually know how to use a bow and arrow if they're going to be going out and shooting a deer.
Yeah, I mean, there used to be nothing for. So here's somebody in this discussion. He says we had a shooting range in the basement of our school, and you would carry your gun into school, and then after and it was always first period, and then after first period you'd carry your gun and put it in your car. So all the kids are walking down the hallway with their guns like normal people did, and now it's such a threat to the republic that you've got to make sure that there's no future generation. What are you thinking is going? What are you thinking you're doing? You're going to have less gun owners in the future if you eliminate school programs?
I don't know what they're thinking because let's say that they eliminate all marksmanship classes, all gun safety classes, all archery safety classes from all schools. Are suddenly people going to are people going to suddenly stop hunting now because of that? Of course not. It's just ridiculous. Now, somebody could argue, well, this isn't a legitimate thing for them to be learning in school. Oh, I see. So learning how to be safe when they're that's not a good thing.
Right. But climate hysteria and gender changing,
swapping. We have to teach them that.
We have to teach that in lieu of reading and writing.
Right. Yeah.
But safety and civic responsibility.
It's a crazy world. Okay, that's it for our 5 for 5. I do have one listener question that came in the other day. Yeah, so Crazy Dave asks, why do some people think that it's a good idea to put salt on ice when you're trying to cool down your beer. Okay? So here's the thing. There's a little bit of physics involved with this one. So when you go to the 7-Eleven and you buy a bag of ice.
What do you mean? So you've got, you mean you have a keg in a tub and you put ice around it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you add some salt. Yeah. Put some salt on the ice. Okay. Why would you do that? Yeah. So here's the reason. First of all, the ice that you buy isn't like at exactly 32 degrees. You know, it's colder than 30 degrees. It might be 27 or something like that, right? Now, the ice has to transfer the heat out of the beer into whatever else, okay? Air is not a good conductor of heat. So if you're out on a 40-degree day and there's a basin full of water that's also 40 degrees, you stick your hand in that 40-degree water, it's cold, right? It feels colder than the air, even though it's not. It's the same temperature as the air. But
okay.
It feels colder because water is better at sucking the heat out of your hand than the air is, right? So when you put your beer on ice, what you really want is the really, really cold water. The ice, the ice isn't making full contact with the beer. What you want...
Okay, so would that explain the difference between... You need to quickly cool your beer down, sticking it in the freezer and wrapping it in a wet napkin,
yes,
and sticking it in the freezer.
Very different, exactly. Because you want...
I never know why, but I've noticed that it's true.
It is true, and the reason is because of thermal conductivity. Because the wet napkin is sucking the heat out of the beer faster than the air in the freezer would.
I see.
Because the air doesn't suck the heat out. Okay, so then what's salt have to do with it?
Yeah.
So what salt does is it melts the ice at a lower... Regular water will freeze at 32 degrees, but salt water will melt at a lower temperature, right? So you can get now salty cold water that might be 26, 27, 28 degrees. So it's colder and it's sucking more heat out of the beer. So sticking salt in, it's kind of like when you make ice cream. You put salt in with the ice there. The purpose is that it gets the ice to melt at a lower temperature, so that you're getting more thermal conductivity with the ice cream or the beer or whatever it is.
Technically, the ice water, if you put a thermometer in the ice water and you put it in the center of an ice cube, the cube could be colder.
Yeah.
But it's not going to transfer the heat away from an object.
Yes.
Because if it's just in cubes, then you've got a bunch of air between the cubes.
Exactly. Yeah. So you need something to kind of connect it. And it's the water, either regular water or salt water, that's making that connection with the beer to pull the heat out. So you add the salt, it gets more cold water in connection with the can of beer.
Well, I hope Dave's satisfied with that.
I hope so. All right, so there we go. 5 for 5 and a little bit of silly beer trivia. And,
Okay,
there we go. Cheers.